What's up guys, it's Grant, your local real estate YouTube guy out of Tampa, Florida, and we have some breaking news in the Tampa, Florida area or just throughout the entire state of Florida. And this is coming straight from the Governor DeSantis himself. Love him or hate him, Governor DeSantis has just announced that he is extending the eviction ban throughout the state, but it does not apply to everyone. So we're going to get right into the details of the new extension, as well as breaking down who it applies to and, honestly, who this eviction ban is really affecting with everything going on right now. So Governor DeSantis has extended Florida's eviction and foreclosure moratorium until September 1st, which originally it was just set to expire on August 1st, but it's looking like we're going to extend that a whole nother month. The executive order was signed this Wednesday, as well as this next extension has a little bit more rules than the first one. The first one just applied to everyone overall, and there were no evictions allowed at all. But in this one, there's some special rules and some landlords that can actually now evict their tenants with everything going on. The extension also stated that all of the missed rent and mortgage payments are due when the tenant or borrower is no longer adversely affected by the COVID-19 emergency, which defines currently as job loss or some type of income reduction during this pandemic. As well, it has also narrowed it down to only single-family homes. So we know that this does not actually apply to any other property type. So commercial, multifamily, anything 2 units or above, it does not apply to. So only single-family homes. I love how it explicitly stated that everybody still has to pay their rent and mortgage payments are due to the tenant or borrower. Of course they are. There's no package for renters. So it's looking like we can evict people as long as it's just 2 units or above. So that is a good sign for landlords, but right now we're most likely going to see a backlog of eviction notices, and it's just going to get all clogged up as soon as this opens wide up. So with all those great tenants that haven't been really affected, they haven't lost their job, or they're actually getting those unemployment benefits, potentially getting paid more than what they were getting paid before, but just aren't paying their rent to their landlords at the moment. This bill definitely does not help Governor DeSantis and how Florida, how they say it is one of the greatest landlord states. So let's talk a little bit more about Florida and its landlord laws to actually, teach more about, how it is definitely a very favorable state for landlords. So even though the Sunshine State, Florida, has one of the largest numbers of renters in the United States, the landlord-tenant laws are not very detailed, which definitely creates a favorable outcome for the landlords and owners of the rental properties, right? For starters, Florida law actually prohibits rent control and has no restriction on late fees. And there's also no limit on how much a landlord can charge for a security deposit, though it must be returned within 15 to 60 days after the tenant moves out, and landlords can deduct from the security deposit to cover the cost of repairs and excessive damage caused to the property, beyond normal wear and tear. And then evicting a tenant in Florida starts with just providing a written notice to give to the tenants within 3 days, and then from there they can either pay it, as in pay the rent, or leave the rental property. So it's definitely, as you can see, just those few little examples that, the Florida rental market is very favorable for investors right now, and that's why a lot of people will invest in the Florida market, as well as Florida's average property tax is 0.98%. That's really good. So let's talk about who this is actually affecting, this new extension of evictions. And the simple answer is, which I'm sure you would have guessed, is landlords. It's actually affecting them much more than the tenants themselves, obviously, because they potentially could have gone for the past few months, even though they were either making money, they either didn't get fired from their job, or they did get fired and they're collecting unemployment, which would give them plenty enough to pay their rent potentially, right? I'm talking about the people that are taking advantage of the system. I am not talking about those people that, you know, really needed the unemployment and are really behind on all their bills and really couldn't afford their rent. That's not how I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that could afford it but are just choosing not to, taking advantage knowing that their landlords cannot evict them, getting maybe 3 to 4 months of free rent. So let's talk about this interview that Channel News 8 had with a local investor in the area and see exactly what he had to say. A landlord named Eric Lev told us some have taken advantage of the situation with everything going on. So he said, first of all, they do not hide it. They were so happy, and they told me in the beginning we're still working, and then they didn't pay, and they sent even some kind of text message, which I have saying, oh, the governor said we don't have to pay. So due to lack of payments, the investor has stated, Lev, that he estimates he is $20,000 in the hole over the past few months with just renters not paying their rent. So obviously landlords are being affected right now, even more than necessarily the tenants in the situation, because if they did lose their job, they would still get that unemployment, which was $600 per week. But right now, with nothing being set on the next stimulus package or any extension on the unemployment, it's looking like a total shit show right now. Though DeSantis' latest eviction order applies only to those negatively impacted by COVID-19, it says once individuals are no longer affected, any late payments are due. But the question is, are you going to court to try to prove that your tenants were not negatively affected by the pandemic that's going on, you know, just to get your few months worth of rent payments, you know, and will a court judge actually see it to the renters? All they have to say is that they've been affected somehow. Cowdy McLeod, press secretary for the government, told us in a statement, every situation is different, therefore judges should work with both the landlords and tenants on an individual case basis to determine if the tenant's inability to pay rent is a result of COVID-19. So very gray area, you know, it could go either way, and potentially is it even worth the hassle, you know, to either go to court or try to evict someone right now when they could potentially argue it, or just wait another month until all this is over with the eviction extension, unless it extends again. But right now, most likely we're going to see a flood of backlogged evictions within the next coming month, as well as this month with all the 2 units and up being allowed to evict, and just the single family homes can still be evicted, but they have to somehow prove that they were not affected by COVID-19. So currently there are talks, and in this interview with a man named Lev, a local investor in Florida, that many landlords are actually considering suing or filing a lawsuit to, if their situation does not start to improve, to the Florida government and Governor DeSantis. So hopefully you guys found that interesting. You know, if you like Florida, if you live in Florida, if you ever need anything, I'm a local real estate agent in the Tampa Bay area. Make sure you subscribe for more, you know, monthly, weekly market updates with the Florida, especially Tampa Bay area. And so I can give you all the insights, and just like down below, comment what you think is going to happen with the eviction extensions, you know, whether it's good or bad, and I'll see you in the next video.